The vast ocean glimmered under the mid-morning sun, a sea of sapphire stretching endlessly in every direction. Captain Adrian stood on the deck of the Aurora, his trusted ship, a youthful grin lighting up his face. His crew bustled around, laughing and joking, their spirits buoyant under his easy leadership. Adrian's wife, Elena, and their young daughter, Lila, watched from the upper deck, their laughter mingling with the sound of the waves. "Listen up, everyone," Adrian called out, raising his hands to gather the crew's attention. "Today, we're having a little competition to shake things up." The crew cheered, already intrigued by their captain's knack for turning routine voyages into memorable adventures. 5 lifeboats, 5 teams, Adrian continued, gesturing to the small boats lined up along the deck. "Your goal is to reach that iceberg over yonder." He pointed toward a glimmering white mass in the distance. "And then race back. The first team to touch the ship again wins." The crew broke into enthusiastic chatter, quickly forming teams of 2. Each lifeboat was equipped with sturdy oars, and Adrian added a playful warning. "No sails, no cheating. This is a test of strength, teamwork, and guts." Elena laughed from above, leaning against the railing. "Always the entertainer," she teased. Adrian winked up at her. "Just keeping life interesting, my love." The lifeboats were lowered into the water amid cheers and excitement. The captain's daughter, Lila, clapped her hands eagerly. "Go, Papa's team," she squealed, though Adrian himself stayed aboard to supervise. The race began with a flurry of splashes as the lifeboats surged forward, the teams rowing with vigor, their laughter echoing across the sea. Unbeknownst to them all, the day's light-hearted game would soon take a turn into dark, uncharted waters. As the race unfolded, the lifeboats cut through the water, their oars slicing the waves in rhythmic determination. The crew shouted encouragement and playful taunts, their camaraderie evident in every splash and cheer. Above, Elena's laughter rang out as she held Lila close, pointing to the team she thought would win. "Look, Mama, that boat's so fast," Lila exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. Elena smiled, brushing a lock of hair from her daughter's face. "Maybe they'll win." "But your papa has a way of surprising everyone, doesn't he?" Down below, Adrian watched the scene with satisfaction. His crew, his family, his ship, it was the life he'd always dreamed of. Yet, as the boats raced toward the iceberg, a subtle unease began to creep into the back of his mind. The sea, so often his ally, seemed unnaturally still. Then it happened. A scream tore through the air, high and piercing. Adrian's head snapped up just in time to see Elena and Lila tumble over the railing. "Elena! Lila!" he roared, his voice echoing across the water. The crew froze, their oars suspended mid-stroke as they turned toward the ship. Adrian didn't wait. He grabbed a lifebuoy and dove headfirst into the ocean. The cold water bit into his skin, but he didn't care. His strokes were frantic, his heart hammering as he searched for them. Through the spray of the waves, he spotted Elena, her arms thrashing as she struggled to keep Lila above water. Adrian surged forward, his powerful strokes closing the distance. He reached them just as Elena's strength began to falter. "Take her!" Elena gasped, thrusting Lila toward him. Adrian cradled his daughter against his chest, kicking to keep them both afloat. But as he reached for Elena, a wave surged between them, pulling her under. "No!" he shouted, diving after her. Minutes felt like hours as Adrian searched, his lungs burning. Finally, he surfaced, clutching Lila tightly. The crew had lowered another lifeboat, and hands reached out to pull them aboard. "Captain, what happened?" his first mate Ethan asked, his face pale. Adrian handed Lila to a crewmate, his voice shaking. "Elena, she's still out there." The crew scanned the water, their eyes darting over the waves. Then, as if out of nowhere, a shadow loomed on the horizon, a massive ship, its black sails stark against the sky. "Pirates," Ethan muttered, his voice low. Adrian's eyes narrowed, his jaw tightening. The pirates had taken his ship, his crew, and his family. And now they would pay. Adrian's gaze was unyielding as he barked orders. "Ethan, take the crew and stay hidden. I'll go after them. This ends tonight." Ethan stepped forward. "Captain, you can't go alone." "I can," Adrian interrupted, his tone resolute. "And I will. They took my family. They'll face me." Without another word, Adrian grabbed a smaller lifeboat and pushed it into the water. Ethan reluctantly stayed behind, his concern evident as he watched the captain row toward the pirate's ship. The sea seemed to conspire with Adrian, the waves carrying him closer to his quarry with a relentless determination. The pirate's ship loomed larger with each passing moment, its deck teeming with men celebrating their latest conquest. Adrian's muscles burned as he pulled himself aboard the ship, careful to stay hidden in the shadows. His heart pounded as he scanned the deck, searching for Elena and Lila. Then he saw her. Elena lay slumped against the mast, her wrists bound. A pirate stood nearby, a sneer on his face as he watched over her. Adrian's grip tightened on his knife. Slipping silently through the darkness, Adrian reached the mast and lunged. The pirate barely had time to react before Adrian's blade found its mark. The man crumpled to the deck with a gurgled cry, and Adrian knelt beside Elena. "Adrian," she whispered, her voice weak but filled with relief. "I'm here," he murmured, cutting her bonds. "Where's Lila?" Elena shook her head, tears streaming down her face. I don't know. They separated us." Adrian's jaw clenched as rage filled him. "Stay here. I'll find her." He moved through the ship like a shadow, dispatching pirates with a ruthless efficiency. His heart ached with each moment that passed without finding Lila. But he pressed on, driven by sheer will. Finally, he found her. Lila was locked in a cabin, her small face streaked with tears. When she saw Adrian, she cried out, "Papa!" Adrian scooped her into his arms, holding her tightly. "It's okay, sweetheart. I've got you." But as they turned to leave, the pirate captain appeared, his gun trained on Adrian. "You've caused quite the mess," the pirate captain drawled, his grin cold. "I think it's time you learned who's in charge here." Adrian's eyes narrowed. "You're making a mistake." "Am I?" The sound of gunfire echoed across the ship. Adrian instinctively twisted his body, shielding Lila as the bullet grazed his shoulder. The pain seared through him, but he didn't falter. He set Lila down gently behind him and faced the pirate captain with unwavering resolve. "You've already taken enough from me," Adrian growled, blood seeping through his shirt. "You won't take anything more." The pirate captain sneered. Bold words for a man with no backup. But Adrian wasn't alone for long. A loud crash echoed from above as Ethan and the crew stormed the pirate ship, their shouts ringing out over the chaos. They had waited long enough and couldn't stand idle any longer. The fight erupted into a frenzy. Adrian lunged at the pirate captain, their bodies colliding in a brutal struggle. Each blow landed with a sickening thud, the sound of flesh meeting flesh, mingling with the shouts and clangs of swords around them. Meanwhile, Lila clung to a beam, her small hands gripping it tightly. She watched with wide eyes as the chaos unfolded, her heart pounding in her chest. Ethan reached her, scooping her up into his arms. "Got you, little one," he said softly, shielding her from the violence. On the deck, Adrian and the pirate captain's fight reached its climax. Adrian's strength faltered as blood loss weakened him, but his determination never wavered. In a desperate move, he wrested the captain's pistol from his grasp and pointed it at him. "End it," the pirate captain hissed, blood dripping from his split lip. "Do it." But Adrian hesitated. The memory of his wife's sacrifice flashed in his mind, her selflessness saving their daughter's life. He lowered the gun, his voice steady. "I'm not like you." Ethan appeared at Adrian's side, Lila clinging to his neck. "Captain, we've taken the ship." "It's over." Adrian nodded, his gaze fixed on the pirate captain. "Lock him up. We'll let the authorities deal with him." As dawn broke over the horizon, the crew regrouped on their ship. Adrian stood at the bow, Lila in his arms, and looked out at the sea. It had taken so much from him, but it had also given him a reason to keep going. "We'll be okay," he whispered to his daughter. "We'll find a way to move forward." Together, Layla hugged him tightly, her small arms offering comfort beyond her years. The sea whispered its own kind of promise, a reminder that while storms may rage and waves may crash, resilience and love can always navigate the way back home. The end.